Hello again, I'm Zoltán Lehoczky from Lombiq Technologies. Now let's continue our .NEST tutorial series with some hardcore development stuff. What we'll do now is that since we now have a local development environment ready for our .NEST site, we will start to do some theming work on it. We will customize the look and feel of the site. And again, the .NEST Core SDK has some tips on how we would do that. One thing to note here is that when you create a theme for your .NEST site, you create what we call a media theme. If you would like to see the details, this is also linked from the SDK. Media theme is a concept and an approach to be able to theme your website even if you can't really write server-side code or C# code. Because .NEST is a multi-tenant application, it's very convenient for you, it's very quick to set up sites there, but it also has limitations because it's not just your application. So because of that, we have to do something else than the very standard orchard theming. But the good news is that what you know about theming pretty much all applies here. There are just a couple of differences that I would like to tell you and what I would like you to be aware of. These are actually all detailed in the media theme documentation. First of all, you have to keep limitations in mind. Basically, all of your templates need to be written in the Liquid templating language. You can use any client-side assets, but you can't write C# in your theme. That's pretty much it. But it's detailed a lot more here. We also have some tips about local development here. But again, usually the standard Orchid Core theme development practices apply. There's one crucial difference when you are referencing static assets, static resources like CSS files or JavaScript files or favicons, then you have to reference them with this /media theme URL or path prefix. Don't worry, it's very simple, and I will show you the details in a minute. So let's actually go back to our solution in our media theme demo project and repository and start doing some theme development. Now, if we take a look at the solution, we see that we already have a theme here called sample theme. Now, there are a couple of approaches how you can start here. Again, since it's more or less a theme development as usual, you can use the code generation templates that Orchid provides. A slightly simpler approach is to just copy this sample theme, rename it, and write your theme code there. So this is what we'll do. Let me actually open this the theme project, and I will copy it to a new renamed project. So let's copy and paste, and let's call this .NEST .media theme demo .theme, just as we have theme in the name twice. It's very important because this tutorial is all about theming. And secondly, let's also rename the project file so we have some order. And now let's actually import, let's actually add this to our solution here. So I will go and add this project. Yep, now we have it here. One important note, but this is general Orchid Core stuff as well. When you add a new project, a new theme project, or a new module project, you also have to reference it from the root web project. So I will start by doing that. The sample theme, of course, is already referenced. All right, and now let's clean this up a little bit, because in the end we copied the sample theme. We probably don't need everything from there. There's an assets folder. Great. Let's make this a little bit simpler, and I will remove it. If you work with something like Sass, or for writing CSS, or something like TypeScript for developing JavaScript, then you can still use any client-side build pipeline to compile them. For the purposes of this demo, I will just write CSS directly. So we don't need a separate assets folder, but as you can see from the sample, you can of course do that. We'll just add everything to the webroot folder. So let me actually start by adding some CSS here. So let's call it site.css, and in site.css, let's change something just so we can see that, well, it is applied. It doesn't really matter. Let's change the text color of the body. So let's write color. Let's use something where we can be sure that we actually see it happening. So aqua for the color. I would never use it in real life, and that's it. Now we also need to somehow import this or include this CSS file. So for that, we would need to create a shape template override in Liquid. We have a widget shape template override coming from the sample. That won't be too interesting for us. But we know that we have set up our site with the block recipe. We also know that the block theme, its source code in Orchard, contains some shape template overrides. So probably it would be a good idea to, well, take a look at those and start by copying at least the layout. So I will do that. I happen to have a version of the latest source of Orchard here. So if you don't, then please just go ahead and clone it. Orchard, after all, is open source, so it's always a good idea to have the full Orchard source ready as kind of a perpetual reference. So if we take a look at the Orchard core source code, we will be able to find the block theme, and in there also all the Liquid views. And sure enough, we have our layout.liquids here. So let's copy that into our theme. And we can remove this widget.layout injection here. And here's the layout. Yeah, probably let's remove the tabs. And as you may see, I actually have syntax highlighting here. Whatever well-known editor you use, there will be liquid syntax highlighting. What I use specifically with Visual Studio is this liquid syntax highlighting for Visual Studio extension from the Visual Studio Marketplace. That's also something I can recommend. But back to Visual Studio. And here in our layout, well, we just get what the block theme provides by default, including, for example, referencing the block theme's favicon and also referencing the block themes static resources, including CSS files and JavaScript files. So what I will do now is that here I will include our CSS file. It's actually pretty much how you would do it in Orchard Core proper, or in a standard Orchard Core theme. So let me do that. We have the block theme styling here, so we keep CSS inclusions in the same location. Let me include our styles.css here. As you can see, we need to prefix the path as mentioned with the media theme prefix, but otherwise it's as usual. To have a little bit of more structure here, let me actually put this site.css into a subfolder. Yes. And let's check it out now. So I will start the application and let's see what happens. When you edit Liquid files, you don't need to necessarily stop and restart the application. If you already have it running, then well, it will just pick up the changes. Okay, here we have it. We don't really see any changes yet because our theme, well, it's not yet enabled. So let's go to the admin and log in as usual. And we can just enable any features that are built into DotNest, of course, and we can enable any themes that are built into DotNest. And now we have our own theme available as well. Actually, a little bit of problem here is that we have two sample themes because I didn't change the manifest yet. So actually, let's go back to the solution and do that. The themes manifest is just as you would expect. There's not much .NET specific here. So you can name it in some way, like .NET Media Theme Demo Theme. We could also change the websites and the description. You can also use a base theme. Now, there are multiple approaches to theme development, as well as on .NET, just as with Orchard as usual. You can use base themes, but you can also write a theme from scratch. We are building on the block theme here, since we also utilize the block recipe, but that is not mandatory. As you can see, you can use another base theme like Lombiq.base theme, which is available on .NET. You can use other base themes that are available on .NET too. Or you can just not use a base theme and create your theme from scratch. You can take an HTML, CSS, JavaScript template, like something from Web Bootstrap, and turn that into an Orchard theme. So we all need to use the block theme here, so I will define that. And there's a single necessary configuration that you have to have in your theme, namely its dependency, or its dependencies have to include the media theme bridge feature of media theme. This is necessary so you get the same experience when you create your theme, which during local development will be pretty much a standard Orchard theme. You get the same experience as you will get on .NET with media theme. So after changing this code, our application should also be recompiled, and it is. Here's our theme, so let's make it the current theme. And once it's done, let's check out the front end, and Well, we can't really see anything. Well, that is because, unfortunately, I mistyped the CSS name. So if we go back to our solution, I've written styles.css here, but I actually called the file site.css. So this being fixed, and let's check it out now. Well, not much visible yet, but these are not necessarily text that don't have some color already defined. And if we check out a blog post, indeed we see our beautiful bluish, greenish text color here. So our CSS worked. That's great. Now let's take this a step further. And let's customize our site a bit further. One issue that I have is that the favicon is the default Orchard Core logo. Well, the Orchard Core logo is beautiful, so it's not that, but let's customize it so our site has something that's not just the default. Because, well, it's not just any Orchard Core site, it's our site. So let's add a favicon, or let's add a variety of favicons. And as it happens, I actually have a couple of favicons available here. In this favicon folder, I prepared a couple of icons, like media theme, including various sizes, an ICO, and also a corresponding web manifest file. So let's include all of these. I will now move this folder to our themes folder, specifically to its web root, and let's call it favicons actually. So back to Visual Studio. We have the folder here, beautiful. Now we just need to reference these favicons from Liquid. How you do that is, well, again, pretty much how you would do from any Orchard Core theme, but you have to use this media theme prefix. So let's actually do that. One note here is that the block theme already includes a favicon here, so we will include our favicons instead of that. And I cheated with a code snippet, of course. Pretty much what happens is that we reference all of the files with the media theme prefix, except for some of the icons that are only referenced from the web manifest file. The two things to note here, apart from the media theme prefix, is that we are also using this append version through configuration. This is also something that you would use with a standard Orchard Core theme. Just keep it in mind. This will add a cache busting parameter to the references of these files. What this means is that if you change these files, the users taking a look at your site will immediately see the changes, because Orchard will recognize that the files were updated and includes a query string parameter when including the files that, well, changed as well. So now let's go to our website and hit Ctrl F5. Well, nothing really happened yet, but let's see whether our inclusions are correct. Again, the folders are not correct, so let me fix that. Of course, that's the issue with copy-paste programming. Well, you see, you end up with wrong references. So we reference the favicons folder. Actually, our site manifest is also in the favicons folder. So let's hit Ctrl F5 again. And now our favicon is actually included. So, awesome. So far so good. We can actually work with the theme, we can write our code, and we can just work with Visual Studio and with Orchard Core more or less as usual. And once we are happy with the whole thing, we can also deploy it to .NEST. So that's something that we'll continue with, but before that, we'll also do something related to recipes actually. But for now, thank you very much.